Is serving as the President of the United States the most dangerous job? There have been many attempts and schemes to assassinate the President of the United States from the 1800s until now. This video outlines the assassinations and assassinations attempts of former presidents, excluding those who have not yet been elected. And in the end, we compare to the riskier jobs in the planet to evaluate if becoming the U.S. President is one of the most dangerous jobs in the planet. So here are the facts. 4 presidents who were in office were assassinated. Abraham Lincoln in 1865 by John Wilkes Booth, James A. Garfield in 1881 by Charles J. Guiteau, William McKinley in 1901 by Leon Czolgosz, and John F. Kennedy in 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald. Ronald Reagan is the only president of the United States who was wounded in an assassination attempt while in office that survived. Theodore Roosevelt, 1912 by John Schrank, and Donald Trump, 2024, by Thomas Matthew Crooks, are the sole ex-presidents harmed in assassination attempts. Political motives were not the sole cause of all such attacks. Several other attackers had uncertain mental health conditions, with a couple being deemed legally insane. Some historians believe that the majority of those who have attempted assassinations were rational and driven by political motives, while the Department of Justice's legal manual argues that a significant majority were actually mentally unstable. Certain assassins, particularly those with mental health issues, operated independently, while those motivated by political reasons typically had accomplices aiding their cause. The majority of conspirators involved in assassination attempts were apprehended and either sentenced to death or given lengthy prison or psychiatric facility terms. The vice president has always belonged to the same political party as the removed president since Andrew Johnson, which could deter such attacks, especially considering policy implications, even during periods of political disagreement. Here's the detailed list of assassination attempts and attacks on U.S. presidents and former presidents, organized chronologically. Some of these attempts were successful, while others were not. 1. Andrew Jackson, 1835. Richard Lawrence attempted to shoot Jackson with 2 pistols, both of which misfired. Jackson then attacked Lawrence with his cane. Jackson survived. Lawrence was found to be insane. 2. Abraham Lincoln, 1865. John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln at Ford's Theater on April 14, 1865. Lincoln died the next day. Lincoln became the first U.S. president to be assassinated. 3. James A. Garfield, 1881. Charles J. Guiteau shot Garfield twice at a train station in Washington, D.C. Garfield succumbed to his wounds and died on September 19, 1881, making him the second U.S. president to be assassinated. 4. William McKinley, 1901. Leon Czolgosz shot McKinley twice during a public event in Buffalo, New York. McKinley died from his wounds 8 days later, on September 14, 1901. 5. Theodore Roosevelt, in 1912 as a former president, was shot by John Flamang Schrank in the chest while he was campaigning for a 3rd term as president. Roosevelt survived the attack and continued to deliver his speech with the bullet lodged in his chest. 6. Franklin D. Roosevelt was shot in 1933 before becoming president. The attacker Giuseppe Zangara fired several shots at Roosevelt in Miami, Florida, but missed. Instead, he fatally wounded Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak. Roosevelt was unharmed. 7. Harry S. Truman, 1950. 2 Puerto Rican nationalists, Griselio Torresola and Oscar Colasso, attempted to assassinate Truman at the Blair House in Washington, D.C. Truman was unharmed, but a White House police officer was killed, and Torresola was shot dead. 8. John F. Kennedy, 1963. Lee Harvey Oswald shot and killed Kennedy while he was riding in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. Kennedy's assassination shocked the nation and led to numerous conspiracy theories. 9. Richard Nixon, 1974. Samuel Bike attempted to hijack a plane with the intention of crashing it into the White House to kill Nixon. Bike was killed by police officers at the airport before he could carry out his plan. 10. Gerald Ford, 1975. Attempt 1. Lynette Squeaky Fromm, a follower of Charles Manson, attempted to shoot Ford in Sacramento, California. Her gun failed to fire. Attempt 2. Sarah Jane Moore fired a shot at Ford in San Francisco, but the bullet missed. Ford was unharmed in both incidents. 11. Jimmy Carter, 1979. Raymond Lee Harvey was arrested in Los Angeles with a plan to shoot Carter. He claimed to be part of a 4-man team planning the assassination. Carter was unharmed and the plot was not carried out. 12. Ronald Reagan, 1981. John Hinckley Jr. shot Reagan outside a Washington, D.C. hotel, hitting him and 3 others, including Press Secretary James Brady. Reagan survived the attack, as did the others, though Brady was left permanently disabled. 13. George H.W. Bush, 1993, after his presidency. An assassination plot involving a car bomb was planned against Bush during his visit to Kuwait, allegedly by Iraqi intelligence. The plot was foiled by Kuwaiti and American intelligence agencies. 14. Bill Clinton, 1994-1996. Attempt 1, 1994. Francisco Martin Duran fired a rifle at the White House while Clinton was inside but failed to hit anyone. Attempt 2, 1996. Osama bin Laden's group planned to kill Clinton during his visit to the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation (APEC) Forum in the Philippines. The plan was foiled. Clinton was unharmed in both incidents. 15. George W. Bush, 2001-2005. Attempt 1, 2001. Vladimir Arutunian threw a live grenade at Bush during a speech in Tbilisi, Georgia. The grenade did not explode. Attempt 2, 2005. An individual attempted to shoot down Air Force One with a surface-to-air missile, but failed. Bush was unharmed. 16. Barack Obama, Attempt 1, 2008. A group of neo-Nazis planned to assassinate Obama during his presidential campaign, but was arrested before they could act. Attempt 2, 2011. Oscar Ramiro Ortega Hernandez fired shots at the White House, believing Obama was there. The president was not present at the time. Obama was unharmed. 17. Donald Trump, Attempt 1, 2024. The ex-president, chosen as the Republican Party candidate in the 2024 presidential race, narrowly escaped a murder effort during a speech at a public campaign event close to Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump was hit and injured in his right ear by Thomas Matthew Crooks, a young man who shot 8 times from a building with an AR-15-style rifle. The incident is regarded as the most significant security failure by the Secret Service since the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan in 1981. Attempt 2, 2024. Ryan Wesley Routh was spotted by a Secret Service agent holding an SKS-style rifle on a private golf course belonging to Trump in West Palm Beach, Florida. After 12 hours of hiding, Trump was 300 to 500 yards away from him before being noticed. He did not take any shots. He fled the scene after being shot at by a Secret Service agent, and after a short police chase, he was stopped and detained without resistance. No one was hurt. And there are many other reports of plottings against the U.S. president. But if we only consider the attempts list provided earlier, we have a total of 21 attempts. To calculate the probability that a new U.S. president will face an assassination attempt, we can divide 21, the number of attempts on presidents, by the total of 46, the total number of presidents, and we will have 45.65%. Almost 50% chance that someone becoming the next U.S. president will face an assassination attempt, which is a crazy probability if we think about, and also considering there were other lesser-known related plots or attempts to murder U.S. presidents throughout history. Many other professions involve higher risks of fatality due to the nature of the work environment, equipment, or conditions. Here are the top 5 of most dangerous jobs globally, along with the approximate probability of death. 1. Logging. Workers have a probability of death of approximately 135 per 100,000 workers per year, or 0.135%. The risks usually are falling trees, heavy machinery, and challenging terrain. Second, fishermen and fishing workers have a probability of death of around 86 per 100,000 workers per year, 0.086%. Main risks are hazardous weather conditions, heavy equipment, and drowning. Third, aircraft pilots and flight engineers, commercial and cargo, probability of death, approximately 58 per 100,000 workers per year, 0.058%. Risks, plane crashes, extreme weather, and mechanical failures. 4. Roofers. Probability of death, about 41 per 100,000 workers per year, 0.041%. Risks, falls from height, weather exposure, and safety equipment failure. 5. Construction workers and iron steel workers. Probability of death, approximately 30 per 100,000 workers per year, 0.3%. Risks, falls from height, heavy machinery accidents, and structural failures. To compare the risk of dying as the U.S. president due to assassination with the risk of death in the most dangerous civilian occupation, logging workers, we need to ensure we're comparing the probabilities on a similar basis. This involves adjusting for the timeframes and understanding the nature of the risks involved. To calculate the risk of death for a U.S. president due to assassination over a 4-year period, we begin by noting that there have been 4 assassinations out of 46 presidencies in U.S. history. To find the death risk, we divide 4, the number of presidents killed, by 46, the total number of presidents. This calculation gives us a result of approximately 8.7%. To make a fair comparison, we'll calculate the cumulative risk of death for a logging worker over a 4-year period, equivalent to one presidential term. For a logging worker, the annual survival rate can be found by subtracting 0.135% from 100%, which equals 99.865%. Converting this survival rate to a decimal form gives us 0.99865. Raising this value to the power of 4 to account for 4 years of work results in a cumulative survival rate of 0.9946. Finally, subtracting this from 1 yields a cumulative death rate of 0.54% over a 4-year period. To recap, the risk of dying from assassination as a U.S. president over a 4-year term is 8.7%, while the risk of death for logging workers over the same period is about 0.54%. To determine how much riskier it is to be a U.S. president, we divide 8.7% by 0.54%, which equals approximately 16.1. Therefore, being the U.S. president is around 16 times riskier than being a logging worker in terms of the probability of death. Crazy, right? We have to notice that the presidential risk is calculated from a small sample size, 46 presidents, which may not provide high statistical reliability, and occupational fatality rates are based on larger populations and extensive data collection, offering more statistically robust results. While statistically, the role of the U.S. president has a higher risk of death from assassination compared to the annual death rate of the most dangerous civilian occupation, it's important to recognize the different natures of these risks. The president's risk is concentrated in rare but high-impact events, whereas logging workers face constant, everyday hazards. Also, we could include many other variables in the calculation. Nonetheless, from a purely statistical standpoint, over a 4-year period, serving as the U.S. president is significantly riskier, about 16 times more than working as a logging worker, the job with highest probability of death. It is clear that being the United States president is the most dangerous occupation ever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more amazing historical content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let us know what you think about today's video. And if you're ready to dive deeper, click on the next video. We've got plenty more stories to uncover.